Makoto has always dreamt about meeting Truck-kun, reincarnating into another world, and getting a harem. One day, he was swept away by the god of Earth. God explains that his parents were world travelers. The goddess of the other world granted their wish but made a condition. One day, they have to give her what is most precious to them, which is Makoto. Makoto accepts, but before he leaves, he asks God for a favor. That's when God tells Makoto that he's got his back, and all his plot-developing hentai will be obliterated. Makoto arrives in the other world, and the goddess had planned to have him become a hero and protect the humans against the demons. However, the goddess finds him ugly. Her generosity wasn't as big as her melons, so she gave him the ability to understand ugly-looking beasts like him and threw him at the edge of the world, away from her precious humans. After the encounter with the goddess, the Earth's god interrupts Makoto on his way down and explains that he is a special kid. He possesses incredible strength because the conditions on Earth are much more difficult than in this world, and the god also gave him an ability called K, originally from Earth, which makes him stronger than anyone in this world. God assures him that he is free to do whatever he wants since the goddess has dismissed him. Once Makoto descends to the edge of the world, he walks for 3 days without spotting any signs of life. Suddenly, he hears a scream. A girl who looks like a pig is being attacked by a two-headed dog. Makoto jumps to save her, and the dog underestimates him, but Makoto kicks through him like a knife through butter. The girl is afraid and tries to run, but Makoto stops her, explaining that he's like a teddy bear. What a violent teddy bear. The girl introduces herself as Emma. Makoto asks Emma where he can find people, and she tells him that they're in the wasteland. No one lives around there, only some beasts and demi-humans. Emma reveals that she was on her way to sacrifice herself to the Sheen, a monster that enveloped her village in fog, which stopped crops from producing. Makoto contemplates helping her, lost in thought about Emma being the first girl in his harem. He's down bad and thinking about developing plot with Emma when she leads him to a camp, where even the demi-humans are surprised by how ugly Makoto is. Makoto sees Emma using magic and asks her to teach him. They start with fire magic, and Makoto delivers a very powerful shot, leaving Emma wondering about his level. Everyone is excited to find out Makoto's level, expecting it to be above 300, but everyone is disappointed when it turns out to be level 1. The next morning, Makoto writes Emma a message, telling her that he's leaving to fight the Sheen and save her. Upon arriving at the Sheen's entrance, he tries out one of the spells Emma taught him, only to destroy a group of demi-human bandits. Suddenly, a red mist covers the ground, and a dragon starts attacking Makoto. The mist thickens, and the attack continues, but Makoto's Kai allows him to see the dragon. Despite the dragon being immune to fire, Makoto's magic attacks still inflict damage, and his punches are strong. As a last resort, the dragon tries to seal Makoto into an illusion spell where his crush confesses her love for him. Makoto doesn't believe it and refuses, but once his crush starts dangling her personality, Makoto falls for the trick. Meanwhile, the dragon looks at Makoto's other memories and falls in love with the manga dramas he has in his memories. Makoto has a revelation, begins to understand the illusion, and breaks free from the spell. He finds the dragon lying on the ground like a puppy. Sheen, the great dragon, offers to enter a contract with Makoto, 80-30, meaning she will basically be Makoto's slave, and he accepts. Sheen transforms into a busty lady with big assets, announcing her excitement to be with Makoto. Makoto and Sheen travel together to Sheen's domain, a beautiful place under her control. Makoto is fascinated by this, as he finds green land, wildlife, and uncharted rivers. He suggests building a city in this place where the goddess can't intervene. Later, Makoto and Sheen return to the wastelands when they see Emma running towards them. Emma can't believe that the hot babe in front of her is Sheen, the invincible dragon. Back in the demi-human village, Emma thanks Makoto for saving her, and the demi-humans are offered the opportunity to move to Sheen's domain. Sheen surprises Makoto with an ability she uses to create a fragment of herself to manage the domain while she travels with her master. In the new village, Sheen is begging Makoto to share some of his manga memories but accidentally extracts some of his plot-developing ones. Makoto refuses. That's when she starts acting cute, like one of Makoto's memories, and he agrees to give her whatever she wants. Makoto has developed his powers and can now use every element. He also learns about K, a type of power that only he can wield. This power is so great that he can cut trees like butter and heal injuries of other creatures. Sheen arrives carrying a dwarf who had passed out while escaping a monster. Suddenly, that monster breaks through the domain. It's the disaster spider, a powerful creature as strong as Sheen. Makoto attacks the monster, dealing serious damage, but the spider seems to enjoy it and heals instantly. After the spider manages to penetrate Makoto, he unleashes his real power, leaving absolute destruction and losing consciousness. Sheen is familiar with the monster, and it turns out to be a real masochist, as she falls in love with Makoto because he overpowered her. Seizing the opportunity, Sheen offers the spider a contract with Makoto. Surprisingly, the spider accepts and transforms into another attractive woman with black hair and even bigger melons than Sheen. Feel free to comment below about who you think is bigger. After Makoto wakes up, a girl introduces herself as the spider and offers him her body and soul. Lucky bastard. Sheen introduces the rescued dwarf as Baron, an elder dwarven blacksmith renowned for crafting some of the finest weapons and artifacts. Baron asks Makoto if he and his villagers can join the new town they have built, and Makoto agrees right away. However, Sheen sets a condition that by joining them, they must offer labor and submit to Makoto as their lord. Sheen and the catastrophic spider corner Makoto and ask him to give them new names. So, Makoto decides to name Sheen as Tomo. The spider affectionately calls Makoto husband and requests a name. Makoto finds the name Mio to be suitable for her. Mio declares that now that he has given her a name, he has made her his for all eternity. After that, Makoto is presented with all the new demi-humans who have taken residence in his domain, Tomo's followers, Mio's followers, and all the other demi-humans who joined. The elder dwarfs introduce themselves and ask if Makoto has been blessed by the goddess. That's when Makoto says that he hates that busty bitch. The dwarfs are relieved as they do not agree with the goddess either. Tomo introduces her servants and their abilities, Mio introduces her followers the Auk, and Mio tells Makoto that she's been injecting them with his essence, giving it to them hard. Don't worry, it's his mana and blood, not his jizz. She also offers him their bodies for his pleasure. Makoto has been exploring more of the wasteland when he encounters a village. Outside the village, he finds a cute girl. When he approaches her, she speaks in a weird language and looks terrified. She starts running away. Look at that, it seems you and Makoto have something in common. Makoto is confused why she ran away, but he assumes she must have mistaken him for someone else and heads to the city. When he approaches the city, he finds people and adventurers with weapons ready to fight. He starts to introduce himself when they begin attacking. It seems that the bitch goddess has only given him the ability to speak to demi-humans. Makoto learns that humans can speak common. Only the oversized mommy milker goddess didn't give him that ability. Emma points out to Makoto that the humans attacked him because of his appearance. Makoto asks if he's really that ugly. That's when Tomo starts laughing at him for thinking that. It appears that Makoto has put no effort into hiding his mana, which is exploding out of him, making him look like 10 demon kings had just spawned. Emma points out that he needs to start learning to suppress his mana, but when Makoto tries to, Mio says,
"Wow, I think there's one less demon king now."
That doesn't really help me!
Makoto decides to learn common, suppress his magic, and visit the human city. The dwarfs craft an artifact for Makoto that would drain his magic, and the dwarf explains that it's a cursed ring that should be removed immediately if he feels it could harm him. However, the ring overfills and breaks, leaving the dwarf speechless, and he promises to make him an even stronger ring. After learning common for a while, Makoto is now able to read and write common, but the speaking part is difficult, so he decides to use writing as his way of communication. That's when the dwarf finally comes up with a stronger ring that absorbs mana and compresses it. It turns out Makoto had to use 10 rings to suppress his unimaginable power. Makoto, Mio, and Tomo are ready to move when he tells Mio her clothes look good, leaving her drowning in love. They reach the city disguised as merchants. Makoto points out how beautiful everyone looks when Mio and Tomo explain that everyone looks average. It seems humans in this world are very beautiful, just like my subscribers. After reaching the guild and talking to the beautiful receptionist, Mio and Tomo are triggered by Makoto's reaction to her beauty. The receptionist explains the adventure ranking system, assuming they have the merchant guild registration card, but Makoto explains that he lost it. She then explains that to get one, they would have to travel to a town called Sige. Makoto also finds out that the highest ranking adventurer in Zetsia, the city they just entered, is Mills Ace, and he is level 444. Makoto watches as the guild starts measuring Mio and Tomo's levels. They find out that Tomo is level 1320 and Mio is level 1500, which leaves Tomo upset because she's of a lower level. Tomo asks about the next higher level, and the receptionist explains it's Sophia Bulga, the Dragon Slayer, at level 920. It's Makoto's turn to measure his level when he finds it is still level 1, leaving him disappointed. Later, they decide to settle for the night, going to an inn. They find the prices are really high, so Tomo roughs up the inn's receptionist, forcing him to drop the price to normal. They notice that the prices of everything seem to be incredibly high. Makoto points out that people have been following them, and it seems Tomo has noticed too, so Makoto assigns her to guard the carriage. Makoto takes Mio to get some dinner alone, and on their way back, Mio is fondling Makoto when a young girl interrupts them. Makoto decides to let Mio handle it, but when she starts threatening the girl, Makoto intervenes and instructs Mio to take it easy on her. As they take her back to their inn, you could see a man smiling. The girl tells them her name is Rina and asks for help. She tells them that her sister went on a job and went missing a month ago. Makoto decides to help her figure this out. Tomo is protecting the carriage when a bunch of ruffians try to take it. Tomo tries holding back, but she gets too excited and ends up slicing and dicing. She was able to capture one of them with massive booba. Tomo is given a stern talking to for the bodies she dropped. That's when the girl interrupts them. Makoto explains to Tomo that Reina's sister is missing and that he promised to help her, then proceeds to offer her Tomo's food and bed as extras they have, leaving Tomo heartbroken. Rina thanks Makoto and gives him a picture of her sister. Suddenly, the look on Makoto's face changes, and he asks Rina to go to bed. Tomo and Makoto are examining the memories of the captive when Mio interrupts them. She took care of the bodies Tomo dropped and ate them all. Mio notices Makoto's eyes changed, and he urges her to go find the sister tonight, stating it's an order, leaving Mio wondering what is wrong with her master. Tomo and Mio head out to find the sister, while Makoto remembers his crush from Earth who looks exactly like the sister. This seems to be the reason behind that sinister look in his eyes. By the morning, Tomo and Mio are still looking for the girl. Mio asks what the girl means to Makoto since he ordered them to find her fast, wondering if she's an acquaintance of his. She finds out from Tomo that she already saw his memories, leaving her jealous and assuring her that Makoto doesn't know anyone in this world. Makoto and Rina are traveling with the wagon in the city when Rina remembers what happened with her sister. Her sister was an adventurer with a debt on her shoulders, and she tried to pay it by slaying a monster, but she got gravely injured and was captured by the people she owed the debt to. Rina tried to run, but she was captured as well and forced to work for them. Rina suddenly tells Makoto that she needs to grab something from home, and Makoto already knows what is going on. Rina thinks Makoto is naive, and Makoto uses his K to detect Rina to find out what she's up to. She reports about what happened and how the fruits Makoto has been getting from a village beyond the mist are worth 500 gold coins. The leader orders her to steal the gold, promising to let her sister go. Reina's sister was laying on the ground helpless when Tomo and Mio found her. Mio healed her, and they tried to walk out when they were interrupted by Mills' ace, the highest-ranked adventurer in the town. Tomo asked Mills what he was doing when he should be the one saving the girl. Toa, Reina's sister, explained that Mills was the gang leader. The gang thought Tomo and Mio had faked their level, telling them it's a bit much for anyone to believe. Mills explained that if they kept acting tough, they would be asked to go after a human that looked like a demi-human. That human was like 10 demon kings. He was classified as a catastrophe-level threat, and bounties were on his head. Keeping up the strong act wouldn't be in their favor, he said. Tomo and Mio realized who that was, saying they could never defeat him. That's when Mills asked them to join him, promising riches and fame, and letting that level 1 idiot go. Mio and Tomo didn't seem so happy about that, so they tried to punch Mills, but he countered it. Tomo got the first kick in, whipping out the adventurers, and Mills got smacked around by Mio for calling her master a loser. The duo gave those bunch something to remember, and that's when Tomo suggested the hallway was too narrow, launching attacks that destroyed half the city. Mills tried taking Toa hostage, but he ended up getting smacked around. Tomo complimented Mio on holding back a lot, then they started fighting over who brutalized more people. They showed off their attacks, destroying the city and flattening every building. Rina is having doubts about deceiving Makoto after he has been nothing but kind to her, so she confesses everything, apologizing for what she did. Tia and Rina are finally reunited, and that's when Makoto asks Mio to produce spider silk, wraps them both in it, and attaches it onto an arrow, launching them towards the wasteland. Makoto wanted to improve the world, but instead, he started by flattening a city to the ground. After reaching an outpost, Makoto travels with Toa's group. The group explains to the guild's receptionist that the city of Zetia has been destroyed by a group of monsters and that Mio and Tomo saved the city by driving away the monsters. Makoto was afraid that Tomo and Mio's quandary would cause chaos again, so he baited Tomo into thinking she needs to train alone to surpass Mio's level, using her love for manga. Tomo embarks on a journey, while Mio and the others travel together to the town of Sage. On their way, Rina apologizes to Mio for interrupting her time with her boyfriend, leaving Mio flustered. Later, a group of wasp monsters blocks the road. Makoto asks Mio to take care of them, and she dispatches them easily. Toa wants to loot the monsters, but Makoto thinks it will be inefficient. However, she jiggles her assets and begs him, so he agrees, resulting in a dirty look from Rina and Mio. The next day, they find more wasps, but this time they ask Mio to be careful. Mio refuses since she can't hold back, leaving Makoto to take care of them. Makoto takes them down with precision, impressing everyone. They harvest them and reach the city. Makoto registers again, but he is still level 1. He checks out the quests at the guild and finds only our special level quests. He picks one up that seems to be from a client request, which means he can talk to them directly and take the quest. It turns out to be for acquiring ruby wasp eyes. After dividing up the materials, Makoto departs from the group he traveled with, but they decide to have one good meal together. After eating together, Makoto is excited about the incredible isekai food, and they have fun and enjoy each other's company before departing. Mio is excited about sharing a room with Makoto alone and discusses what Toa told him about bad things happening to people working with the Rembrandt Trading Company. Makoto goes to bring their valuables into the room, afraid people might try to steal them again. Mio is in the room, excited about being alone with Makoto, lost in thought. Makoto goes to sleep, leaving her disappointed. The next morning, Makoto uses the mist gate to get to the village, where Emma welcomes them. The ALK have moved to the mountains, and the lizard men are building a castle for Makoto. He asks about Tomo, but apparently, no one has heard from her. The Master Dwarf welcomes Makoto and gives him choices for armor. Makoto doesn't like most of them except one, made by the same dwarf who made the ring. It absorbs mana even quicker than the rings and can switch between defense and mobility. However, it suddenly dissolves, having reached its limit of mana, and the dwarf promises to make it better. Makoto realizes that his domain contains many valuable and rare materials. He heads to Sage, where he has a meeting with the Rembrandt Trading Company, particularly with a representative called Patrick Rembrandt. After Makoto introduces himself as a level 1 adventurer who wants to create his own trading company in the future, he is met with distrust. Patrick tells Makoto that the ruby eyes are extracted from a very rare monster, tough to beat, and even tougher to extract the materials from. He doubts Makoto, but all the doubt is gone when he pulls out the ruby eyes. Makoto proceeds to ask about what he plans to use them for, and he learns that Patrick's wife and daughter are cursed, and they need the rubies to create medicine for the two of them. Makoto asks if he can join the medicine preparation process since it will benefit him to see it in action. He also offers to provide an alchemist, to which Patrick agrees. Makoto senses that Patrick is loved by his servants, so he wonders why those rumors went around. Makoto heads to the Merchant Guild and learns that it takes 2 tests to pass, a written test and a practical test. He buys the manual to study and finds it easy, so he asks to take the test right away. The test proves to be quite simple, more suitable for a second grader, so he finishes it in half the time, leaving the instructor stunned and Makoto questioning the new world's education system. The practical test requires Makoto to acquire certain materials of high value or ones with the same value. Makoto gives the instructor some materials even more valuable, and with that, Makoto already passed the test and is asked to collect the guild card the next day. Meanwhile, Tomo is in the demi-plane, training and hunting crabs. After returning to the town, a demi-human warns her that Mio is eating the master's memories that she extracted. Tomo rushes back, and Emma meets her, telling her that if she doesn't help with translating the memories, she will tell the master that Tomo returned to the town and has been hunting crabs without informing him. Tomo joins Mio in translating, and a fight starts between them. Tomo wants to watch dramas, and Mio wants to watch old shows. Makoto arrives in the demi-plane, and he meets Tomo's fragment, asking her about the illusion city he asked them to develop. The city will act as a mediator between the demi-plane and the humans, as Makoto wants to sell the products he produces to the humans. Tomo's clone informs Makoto it's almost done. After that, Makoto interrupts the fight between Tomo and Mio and stops it, asking them to join him in the city. Makoto has a talk with Tomo and Mio about Patrick and the Rembrandt. He mentions that they have an amazing reputation and nothing seems wrong. Makoto points out that the room has only 2 beds, and Tomo is sleeping on one while Mio is taking the other. They ask him to choose one. Which one of them is he going to develop plot with tonight? Makoto, a virgin, prefers to sleep on the chair. Later, Makoto receives a message on his guild card from his friend Alchemist, accepting the job with the client. The next day, after meeting the Alchemist, 2 suspicious men watch, wondering how Makoto completed the job. The white-haired one asks the other to gather the adventurers, as he wants to stop Makoto from helping Patrick for some unknown reason. The alchemist starts the process using magic and forges the first batch of medicine. On the second batch, the alchemist flimsily holds the bottles and they fly out of his hand. Makoto has to bust his ass trying to save them, impressing Rembrandt's butler. After they finish, they find Patrick severely injured. It seems his wife is in a very demonic state, out of her mind, and it's very difficult to administer the medicine. Makoto asks Patrick to show him his wife, and Patrick warns him, but Makoto insists. After visiting her, she attacks Makoto, but his physical abilities allow him to stop her for Patrick to administer the medicine. Next, he deals with the daughters who are in a rougher shape than their mother. Patrick thanks Makoto and the goddess, but Makoto thinks to himself, "Fuck that bitch with the overgrown flotation devices." Outside the mansion, Tomo and Mio meet Makoto when they're attacked by a fire spell. Makoto dodges it, but Tomo and Mio take the hits head-on without any damage. The attackers call for their friends, revealing their intention to assassinate Makoto. One of the men asks Mio and Tomo to join them for money, and surprisingly, Mio accepts, stating that she'll stay out of the fight. Makoto instructed her to do so to avoid causing havoc like Zetsuya. The assassins attack, but Makoto and Tomo easily dodge their attacks, defeating them one by one. The man pleads with Mio to help, but she sticks to her decision to stay out of the fight. The mage tries to escape, but Makoto leaps forward and knocks him out with a punch. The remaining assassin attacks, but Tomo quickly takes him down. Just as she was about to harm him further, she glimpses one of his memories. Intrigued, she stops and asks for an explanation. Lime, the one who led the adventurers, explains that he did this because of the Rembrandt family's greed, which left many adventurers out of jobs and suffering. He shares that an alchemist approached him in his favorite bar, and they discussed how some adventurers who grew up in the same orphanage as Lime had to take dangerous jobs and met unfortunate ends. The alchemist proposed a deal, and they agreed to help each other take revenge on the Rembrandt family. Lime confesses that he only meant to put the family in a cursed sleep, not to end their lives. Makoto decides to let Lime go, and Mio asks for the payment he promised her. When he offers her the money, she seizes the entire bag as interest. Lime heads to Rembrandt's mansion and apologizes for Makoto's favor. The family agrees to forgive him but declares that he won't be getting any more adventurer jobs. Therefore, Lime decides to retire. Tomo approaches Lime, offering him a new sword and a chance to serve her as a spy. She also provides him with a substantial amount of funds, which makes him happy. Tomo remains suspicious about the Rembrandt family. Something felt off. She overheard them talking about Makoto and how establishing his own trading company might affect their plans. Back in the demi-plane, during breakfast with the gang, Emma informs Makoto that their warriors have lost confidence in themselves after witnessing the skills of Tomo, Mio, and Makoto in combat. Concerned about the situation, Makoto decides to spy on them to find out what's happening. Within the demi-plane, the different species of demi-humans had not been interacting with each other, leading to doubts about their abilities compared to others. Tomo proposes a solution, holding a battle between the strongest members of each species. The warriors engage in the battle, but Tomo is unimpressed with their performance, telling them they need to get stronger. After the battle, Tomo announces a new practice. Every 7 days, they will hold battles to rank their warriors. She instructs them to fight against each other without holding back and encourages them to share their tactics to improve. Makoto supports her decision and adds his words of encouragement. At the Adventures Guild, Mia and Tomo measure their levels again. Mio is level 1500, while Tomo is level 1340, which makes her feel sad once more. Interestingly, Makoto is still level 1. The receptionist approaches Makoto's party with a request. The top-ranked adventurer in the city is missing, and she wants Makoto's party to train another group to take their place. Makoto realizes it's their fault since they easily defeated the other adventurers the other day. Taking responsibility, he accepts the request and decides to train Toa's group since they are already above level 100. Knowing that Tomo would train them well, Makoto delegates the task of training to her. Tomo notices from Makoto's memories that Toa looks like someone he knows, and that's another reason she agrees to train them. They need to become independent to free Toa from her master. During the training, Tomo teaches Toa's group how to work as a team, providing individual instructions on how to best utilize their powers. Back at the guild, Tomo explains that she sent them to the most dangerous place in the kingdom, surprising everyone when they returned successful, having achieved their missions and even destroyed 2 monster nests. Back in the demi-plane, Makoto assigns Mio the task of checking the Taric forest. The forest is home to wasps that feed on a specific flower, which could provide them with a stable supply of those flowers. Meanwhile, Makoto goes to the city to speak with Patrick Rembrandt about renting a shop. He avoids buying real estate since doing so would make him the kingdom's spy and require him to provide them with information. Patrick agrees to help and even offers to find a place for Makoto to own in a neutral city, safe from the kingdom's influence. While Makoto takes care of business, Mio Mio and her servant explore the Taric forest. Back in the demi-plane, Tomo throws a party for Makoto, and during the celebration, he pats her fragment's head, leaving both of them flustered. Mio presents Makoto with a plate she found in Sage, and her compliment makes him blush. After the party, Tomo and Mio leave to report to their master, one after the other. Makoto listens to their reports and interacts with each of them. Makoto asks Baron, the dwarf, if they feel confined in the demi-plane, but Baron explains that there is nothing more they could want. A happy city, flowing rivers, and mountains. It's like heaven on earth. However, Baron admits that exploring more about weapons might be something they desire. Hearing this, Makoto offers Baron the opportunity to run a shop in the illusory city, where he can sell weapons to humans. People would pay handsomely for his craftsmanship, and it would allow Baron to pursue his passion for weapon making. Mio and Tomo are talking in the forest when they suddenly notice their master's presence has disappeared. However, he quickly reappears, and they find him training. Overwhelmed with relief, Mio runs to him, crying, as they had thought he had departed from this world. They are devastated by the mere thought of losing him. In the midst of their emotions, Tomo asks Makoto to show her how he has been training with the bow. Makoto reveals that when he shoots, he deeply focuses and imagines his canciones blending with the surroundings. Tomo understands what happened. Makoto has been going through death and rebirth. This also explains why his mana has been increasing rapidly. Normally, there is a limit to how much mana a person can possess, and it never increases. However, Makoto's mana is growing beyond limits due to his experiences with death and rebirth. This presents a significant issue because the mana Makoto possesses now is on par with the goddess's own mana. Moreover, the demi-plane is owned by Makoto, not Tomo, as their contract stipulates a 70-30 ownership in favor of Makoto. With his increased mana, the demi-plane is expanding, encroaching upon the goddess's domain. If the goddess were to discover this, she might exterminate him. Tomo believes the best course of action is to have the dwarfs create something to absorb or drain his mana. This way, they can prevent any unwanted attention from the goddess. While walking in the street, Makoto bumps into a demi-human, and suddenly, a prostitute approaches him, offering to deliver special services. However, Mio and Tomo intervene, dragging him away in anger, expressing their desire to deliver their own plot. Makoto, not wanting any part in it, escapes like a little bitch. Back in the demi-plane, the dwarfs have finished a new set of rings better than the first. They will also make him ones for occasions in battle. Mio approaches him and apologizes for forcing plot delivery, and Makoto accepts her apology, then asks her to join him in the Taric forest to collect the flowers which attract the wasps. Mio is excited since she gets time alone with her master. In the forest, they notice a group of human adventurers following them. Mio wants to end them, but Makoto orders her to only lose them. After reaching the embryos, the precious flowers, Makoto notices the ground is wet, so he holds Mio's hand, leaving her in a daze counting the seconds. That's when a couple of black elves show up, and the adventurers also find them, stating that the flowers are theirs to keep. The elves misunderstand Makoto's intentions and start to attack both him and the adventurers. Makoto deflects every attack. One of the adventurers asks him why he's running since he is so powerful, ordering him to go back and fight. What a condescending bitch. Makoto realizes it's the same girl from yesterday, the prostitute. As they run, Tomo opens a communication channel with Makoto, offering help. She tells him to create a smokescreen and then open a mist gate to lead the adventurers to the illusory city. Additionally, he can handle Mio by feeding her favorite food, which is Makoto's blood. The elves attack using magic, but Mio counters with dark magic to absorb the mana before it turns into a spell. Makoto and Mio manage to restrain the elves and explain that they are merchants seeking only to conduct business. As a result, they are invited to the elves' village. Upon meeting the elders, they discover that the beings are forest ogres, not elves. They then meet the elves' master, who holds Makoto's hand for more than 32 seconds, which leaves Mio furious as she had only managed 31 seconds of hand-holding plot. The ogres welcome Makoto with a celebration in his honor when a leech takes control of the elder son's body and attacks Makoto. Employing the dark magic he learned from Mio, Makoto absorbs the leech's mana, leaving him defeated. Later, Tomo arrives and reveals that she knows the village's elder. She was the one who created a barrier around the village years ago, and she is the dragon they worship. Tomo instructs the ogres to serve the young master from that point on, warning that any who defy him will be squashed like a bug. Makoto, Tomo, and Mio take the leech away to inquire why he attacked Makoto. They learn that he's been living for centuries, trying to become a rare species of humans who can travel between worlds without permission from the goddess. However, Tomo explains that he misunderstands the meaning of it. Gran are people who have already traveled the world and gained immense power, allowing them to cross between worlds, highly regarded for their love of adventure since the chances of succeeding in such crossings are only 10%. Tomo suggests that the leech create a contract with Makoto, as her master needs to learn more spells, and the leech desires knowledge and wants to be around someone as amazing as Makoto. The leech is taken aback by the offer but eventually accepts. To draw the contract, they must give him the rings of mana since the leech's magical power is insignificant compared to Makoto's. Back in the illusory city, the greedy adventurers are discussing how disgusting the demi-humans are. They noticed the demi-humans carrying loot into a storage and decided to steal their treasure. Suddenly, Makoto, Tomo, Mio, and Shiki the leech hear a loud bang, indicating an explosion. Tomo collapses on the ground, bleeding. Mio tends to Tomo while Shiki accompanies Makoto to the explosion site. Makoto is confused about what happened and comes to realize that the explosion took the life of Tomo's fragment and an ogre. It also injured one of the Auk. In a moment of desperation, he accesses Tomo's powers, seeing the memories of the human adventurers. Apparently, one of his rings set for disposal had exploded because the adventurers attacked the disposal facility, thinking it was a treasure haul. After the explosion, the cocky girl adventurer collects some of the swords to sell. Makoto approaches her with a deadly look on his face, seeking revenge. His face is filled with anger and sadness. She tries to attack him, but he slices her hands like a piece of ham and proceeds to finish the job, cursing the day he ever allowed a human to enter the demi-plane. A traditional funeral is held, and Makoto apologizes to the parents and friends of the orc who met his end. To prevent such incidents in the future, Makoto establishes new rules for handling disposable items, creates a restricted area for adventurers in the city, and assigns some Auk to pretend to be adventurers, spying on the humans if they dare to attempt anything similar. In the Rembrandt mansion, Makoto meets with Patrick, discussing the details of their new shop in the neutral city. After all that Rembrandt has done for him, Makoto decides to show his face. Surprisingly, they accepted him and even compared him to his sick wife and daughter. That was nice by their standards. Back in the demi-plane, Makoto informs Mio and Tomo that he will be attending the Magic Academy to learn more, accompanied by Shiki. He explains that he needs to investigate more about magic, the goddess, and humans. Makoto also presents them with gifts, knowing that he won't be seeing them for a while. On their way to the academy, Makoto hears the goddess's voice, and she teleports him into a field where he is suddenly attacked by two warriors. He manages to cut 2 fingers. The warriors introduce themselves as Sophia Bulga, the strongest adventurer in the world, and Mitsurugi, the dragon she defeated. They assume that Makoto is the goddess's disciple due to his descent, covered in her golden shimmer. Makoto realizes that he is caught in the middle of the fight between demons and humans, and the goddess is using him to stop the demons. However, no matter how much he tries to explain, they refuse to believe him. Makoto switches to battle mood, but they continue to attack him. He resorts to using his special dwarven arrows, which can pierce through anything and always strike true, inflicting serious damage. As a last resort, Sophia hugs him tightly, creating mid-battle plot, and launches into the air, intending to execute a Makoto pancake by having him fall from such a height. However, he uses all his mana, even the one stored in the rings, to deliver a final water-piercing arrow that wipes out both armies. This attack leaves Sophia naked from losing her armor and Mitsurugi without a leg. Makoto is back in the demi-plane, and Shiki deduced that the stupid goddess sent him to fight for her. Nevertheless, Makoto continues with his plan to attend the academy. Tomo introduces a new fragment to Makoto, having conjured her using both hers and his mana. She states that it's their child, leaving Mio upset. Back in the neutral city, the demi-plane is marketing its products from the illusory city. Finally, everyone is doing their part, and a new adventure awaits Makoto as he sets off for the academy to improve his magic and knowledge. The threat of the goddess still looms, and the challenges to come remain uncertain. What will Makoto do in the face of these trials? Thanks for watching until the end. Please check out my other recaps.